Oh, it's gone.
missing
The
our.
flag is at McGrath Elementary.
It is, okay. Well, we will go with the Missouri flag tonight.
Yeah, we can do that. Support the state.
There's a flag on the right.
There it is.
Is there a flag on the
Right
side?
right
there.
Flag on the-
Got
Oh, there it is. It's up on the screen tonight. Okay, there we go. Ready? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh.
Bethany's found
Okay.
it. Oh.
Thank you,
It just showed
everyone.
up.
Asking you show me sleep.
All right, and that brings us to communications, and don't see anyone from the public. No, and then nothing was written in. Great. That will move us into roll call, please.
Jamie Allen,
Here.
Brian Dodson,
Here.
Brentwood,
Here.
Keith Ravenberg,
Here.
Keith Slaughter,
Here.
Lindsey Spencer,
Here.
Carrie Charles.
Here.
Thank you. If I could have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as outlined.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that moves us into our superintendent's report.
All right, first off, tonight we have Matt and I from Navigate, and Matt's going to start off by giving us an update on McGrath Phase 2.
Good evening, good to see everybody. Doesn't seem like that long ago, we were here presenting the options for the early site work package for McGrath. And now we're kind of at our fourth final phase of this proposition to get the old McGrath demoed and the rest of the site work on the McGrath property put together. So, yeah, part of the presentation tonight, HCK Architects did a really good job of providing some renderings, and then we're going to go into the bids that we received last week for the demo and the site work of the last and final phase. So, going over the renderings, this is just a aerial view, kind of looking from High School Drive. I guess that's the northeast corner, facing out over the new McGrath building, and then what the potential will look like where we reconnect the parking lot and that roadway up to St. Clair, and put in some ball fields, reconnect the hard play area there on the west side, and really kind of finish out that space that will be left where the old McGrath comes down. So this is looking from the west. This is that hard play area that'll go in with the green space to the right, and then the area right outside of the early childhood, which would be their new playground. We're just showing it right now as a play space, but that'll be where the ACC playground will go, and then that'll kind of reconnect with this drive. Will be a fire lane as well. It'll be where potential fire trucks would be able to pull in. This is just a little bit closer view of that west side of the ECC. And then an overall site plan, so you can see on the west side where we have the hardscape playground area, that fire lane I talked about, and then as we connect in with the new parking lot spaces, the parking spaces along the new part of the parking lot will actually be pavers, and that is a MSD requirement. We had to have so much retention of stormwater, so those will actually be pavers in that area to the north of the soccer field. Then we'll reconnect up to St. Clair, be a new monument sign going in, that other U8 soccer field, and then there are several retaining walls that aren't shown here, but which will kind of address some of the grade changes in here as well. And then, of course, we have the pavilion. The pavilion, which I think has changed locations just a little bit, but we are putting that pavilion back schedule for this phase. We are now through the contract, well, we're through the bidding and contracts period. If awarded tonight, the contractor will receive a notice to proceed. Obviously, they won't start till next summer, but we would project abatement happening first. And those bids actually come in next week, so we'll have abatement bids come in. The abatement contractor will get in there right after school ends. They'll probably have a 5-week head start on the demo crews, with projecting construction starting there at the beginning of July. So July 8th, we have projected that going out to the end of October for getting all the site work wrapped up. And so we anticipate being able to open that drive and all fields, there towards the end of October, early November. So that's,
Do you want questions at the end?
no, feel free to.
So the picture back where it shows the soccer fields and the pavilion, is there gonna be electric?
Yeah, to the pavilion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there will be power. There will be some light poles out as well, so there will be lighting on that pavilion.
So will the fields be lit, will we be able to use that to be rented, like day or evening games, as some kind of a revenue possible thing with the Ys or anybody that would want to use it?
Right now, there is a plan to have field lighting, just like your parking lot poles at this point. But that could be a potential where we could look at, future, if even just running some kind of infrastructure, raceways out to a certain location. That is the goal, is to have lighting down the road.
Okay, so there is lighting, because I know there was lighting in the pavilion prior to, though there's electric ran, we never made it live, but it will basically be put back the way it was taken down,
Right,
electric ran and all of that.
yeah.
Okay.
And then you'll notice, so the demo is, of course, gonna be happening the first couple months of school next year, but, as part of the scope that they agreed to is they're building they'll develop a temporary turnaround road in there, so that will come off of, kind of the area Matt's in there now, coming off of, so people will come in off of high school, and there'll be enough room to come around and circle back, so we can do pickup and drop off.
Yeah, that was a big challenge, since we're gonna be shutting that road down once school starts. How do we let car rider drop off occur? So we'll have like a temporary, turnaround right about here, put just some temporary rock, and they'll separate that from the construction site, so, cars coming off high school can come in, do a little turnaround here, exit back out on high school.
So is a soccer field, is that the standard size of a soccer field? Because I see two different, maybe explain what the differences are in size.
The U10 soccer field, so that's a little bigger for those 10 and under games, and then the U8 is that furthest, that must be the U8.
Oh, is that what the 8 is? The U is under 8, got it.
I'd say probably Brentwood 4 is a U10 field.
So Brentwood 4 is just under U10, but
Yeah.
think Brentwood 4, and then think, if your kids played over at St. Luke's, you get to your U8. So
Yeah, probably half
yeah.
half a half on.
Okay, but it could be used for football as well, and baseball, and some of the other things that we used the previous field for.
Yeah, essentially, that's, those fields,
It was just a size reference, so it's a multi-purpose, it's
Yeah,
not
it's a
gonna be.
multi-purpose field,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine.
The thought process was, this gives you a sense for how to size it, and those
Yep.
are standard
Okay.
sizing. But it doesn't preclude you from
Using
playing
it.
football on it, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
There was no intent though to put baseball diamonds or anything like that, it was just grass fields.
Okay, yeah, because I just asked, because I did see that there is a fence there for the backstop for baseball.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
similar, I mean, the
right
thought
there.
process, remember the old, the
Yep.
McGrath
Yep.
grass, and same thing as on Mark Twain, there's no
Mhm.
diamond there, you can go put bags out, but it's all just grass.
Okay.
But it is intended to be multi-purpose.
Yeah.
So is this also intended to be used during school hours? So that, like, before they used to be able to play soccer on outdoor recess and all of that? So is that the thought? Because my thought is,
Oh, absolutely.
it's not enclosed at all. So like it is exposed to cars, it's exposed to the public. Whereas our playground was locked down at McGrath before when the kids were out playing. So is that something that we need to be thinking about if it's going to be used as someplace during recess?
Well, Matt, how much, we had that conversation and we were looking at some fencing options on there as well.
We do have some fencing, I have to double check the extent, but primarily the fencing that we've got is kind of a barrier between the parking lot and fields, just to prevent, any balls getting kicked into the parking lot.
Because you also, on that other side, got a pretty steep retaining wall over on the road next to Litz, but we can take a look to,
Yeah, I just think that's something we really need to consider, because you're gonna have cars driving through there, there's gonna be kids possibly out there before pickup. God forbid someone has a medical emergency or something happens, we wanna make sure we've got that safely secured for kids to be able to use it as a playground as well as fields.
Yeah, we can definitely look at that.
Not trying to add something to
Mhm.
the cost, just, we gotta kind of return it back to the way it was and the concept that we had.
okay, we'll take a look.
I mean,
at
there's
that.
gonna be curbs and, I mean, because I think about, for the last 2 years, we've had the kids playing in the center of the drive with nothing to protect them from someone deciding to pull down but a little red cone at McGrath.
But that was temporary, I mean, we had no way to, we had
No,
no
I
way
understand
around
that,
that.
but we have the soft playground area, there's gonna, are we gonna have a barrier up on the fire lane to prevent cars from driving into there?
Like a curb.
Yeah, I'm just like, there's a lot of areas, there's gonna be a curb there. I mean, at any point, anyone can do something stupid. I guess I'm just looking and saying, yeah, a fence would be good to keep balls from rolling out, but I don't know that we need.
Well, I think a fence needs to be there to keep people from the inside of our school system. If we're gonna have kids out there and it's gonna be used as a recess area as well, for the security of our kids, that all needs to be enclosed, so that no one can access that.
How's
You know, a
that?
fence- a
Yeah,
fence-
I'm the devil's advocate, we take this up in committee, Mark Twain,
Well, that was before security, now I would hope that we're gonna do the same thing there.
I
Like,
just-
what good does it do to have this great security system if we don't have our schools enclosed?
But you can walk down that drive and just walk in. I mean, I guess, like, we don't have it gated, we're not gonna have gates to prevent cars getting through there. At any point, someone could just walk right down the walkway, and a fence is, I mean, the fence is more to keep kids from running away than to,
I guess all I want it to be looked at, because I don't want after the fact for people to come back to us and say, why didn't you do this? Or it's too late because we're already at whatever phase we are.
Yeah,
There's gotta-
we'll have HTK take a look at it and see what their recommendations.
Because I think the same should be
Would be,
fair for Mark
because-
Twain. I would hope that
Well,
we'd
we-
have that enclosed too.
Well, there is a fence at Mark Twain, right? It's the brick wall.
In
Well, that
general,
prevents a car from plowing in.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about safety.
yeah,
Yeah.
in general, what we do in schools is you're really looking typically at students not being able to elope away from a space easily and get out into, say, a roadway, for instance. It's generally not intended, to keep out all adults, you'd have to have a gated, very high fence and so forth and so on, which typically schools don't have that, so it's just a little different philosophy there, but.
But I think before though, and I think to Carrie's point, that's where I thought we used to lock down, put locks on all the fencing around the old field when school was in session. And then when school was out of session, they unlocked it. So
We
I
did it
think,
at the high school. So if we're gonna secure our kids at the high school and there's gonna be a locked field there, I don't know, just,
I think-
you know what I'm
Something to
trying to
think
get
about.
across.
Yeah, I think we could talk about it in the Finance and Facilities Committee and look at what recommendations HTK would have and for security or, like Brian's point, Dr. Lane's point, keeping kids on the campus if there are a lot of kids out there, what recommendations they would have and what other schools have done.
Got it.
What is part along, you mentioned there's a retaining wall by Litzinger. I also see some form of barrier above it on the picture.
Yeah, the
What
existing
is that?
retaining wall end is there.
Yeah.
That'll remain. There will be another inset retaining wall that's an extension from the one that went in the new grass. So I think right about this line here comes over to about there. So there's a secondary retaining wall just to address some of the grades. But the retaining wall at center is along this sidewalk, and that'll remain with the fence that's present. I think that goes all the way.
Goes all the way up to the parking lot.
Okay, so some fencing already exists.
There's already fencing on Litzinger.
Yeah,
So it
okay.
goes all the way up to St. Clair, well, it cuts in just as there, to St. Clair, and then cuts over where the
Okay.
kindergarten rooms are.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be good to discuss.
Great, any other questions for Matt?
What's the slope like between the fields? How steep is it? Is it fairly, like, if kids start running down it, they're not gonna start losing control, are they?
This probably won't give you very much of a, but you're thinking like right in here.
Yeah, between the two
or right
sets.
here. I'd have to, like, it is pretty gradual. We looked at the need to either put a stairwell in there. If it was pretty gradual, we would have to put a stairwell.
Okay.
So they did true that up a little bit just to, or shallow it up, just to make sure we didn't need to have a stairwell, another retaining wall along that side of the field. So it isn't gradual. So.
I'm sorry, one more question.
Oh,
So
no.
the slope that's going down from that larger field into the basketball court, what about rain runoff? Are we gonna have drainage issues on the court?
Yeah, we do have storm right in this area. I believe it runs out.
Okay.
It actually runs out. If you recall, we had all that underground detention
Right.
that mainly comes in right on the playground, and then there's some more over here. So all that connects into that underground detention piping.
Okay, is it collecting on the perimeter of where the playground will be?
Yeah, I want to say there's an inlet over on that corner,
Okay.
possibly
Maybe
another
they
one on the other side.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely collecting any runoff that get that hard skate.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you for the update, Matt.
All right, you want to jump into the bid?
Yeah, I think everyone received a memo for bid award. I don't know if it's up here, but essentially kind of walks us through the process that we, had for the bid event. I want to say we went out to bid early October. Bids due last week. We ended up with 5 bids. Our last estimate was fell right in the middle of the bid, so ended up with a pretty good turnout. The low bidder, who's Bombshell Construction Services, they were pretty well below budget, and they were significantly lower than the next bidder. We did have bidder interviews last week. We interviewed the bottom 3 projected bids, and Bombshell appeared to have the full scope identified and then included in their bid, which is obviously what we wanted to hear. And they also had the best schedule of the 3, just to try to get it done before winter time set in, and they thought that they were going to be eager in pushing that to happen before the end of October. So that's the recommendation is for Bombshell Construction Services.
Yeah, we had a very extensive interview with Bombshell, in part because they were considerably lower on that, so sometimes, you know, that makes you wonder if they've got the full scope and are really gonna be capable of the job. But out of all the interviews, regardless of pricing, they had the most complete plan in place. They're doing very little self-performing work. It's all subbed out to very reliable subs that Navigate and other districts around have worked with. And he's just got a really tight, aggressive schedule. And basically, we left the interview feeling very confident that they could get the job done and do it well.
They had good recommendations.
They do.
So if we approve this tonight, what this is covering is basically what you're showing us, the pavilion, but nothing about what I'm bringing up as far as fencing.
So the fencing, to the extent that's in the drawings, I do want to double check to what that extent is and go over that with ACK just to make sure that the concerns are addressed. But yeah, if there's a gap in that fencing, we would need to address that.
That would be a change order that would come back to the board, Carrie, if that ends up being a decision.
Because I don't want to approve this and then it just doesn't happen, so I'm trying to
We can
decide if
always
I'll
do-
vote for it or abstain.
No, we could always do change orders.
Yeah, maybe a smaller change.
Yeah, we would, in that case, if it was, 6-foot chain link fence that we've already got included, we would just ask them to price up whatever the gap to fill that scope. And just put it as a part of the change order. So the only thing the scope and the bid that they submitted, so it's full demo, full site work to get it in that shape. The only thing it doesn't include is the abatement. So the abatement bids, and we had like 12 interested bidders show up to the pre-bid. Those bids are due next week. So that'll be like the initial piece to getting McGrath.
So what's the abatement for?
There's lots of asbestos tile, there's pipe insulation, asbestos pipe insulation, some of the window caulking. So there's an extensive abatement report that the school's been monitoring that.
So they remove all that and then Bombshell does the rest of the
Yeah.
demolition?
Right. They'll get the stuff out that needs to be secured before demolition. And that'll be that.
So the total program budget, though, that you had shared with us does not include abatement anywhere in that, correct? Or does it?
No, abatement, yeah, it's included in there, it's under I think it's the second section down, section B. And the reason that's not in the construction numbers is because that's typically held a direct contract with the school district. But that's in the projection on that.
Yeah, we're holding 200 for that.
Yeah.
If I could get a motion to approve the bid.
So I move that we approve the acceptance of the bid from Bombshell as outlined, and include the contingency as stated.
Second.
Discussion?
So just to clarify, as I'm looking here, we've got alternative 1, alternate 2. So is that, we have sod and irrigation as an alternate that would be included. The learning garden and pavilion, is it just the pavilion or are both of those included?
That scope is
That scope is included, okay, so that's, okay. thank
Yeah,
you.
the way we put those alternates on there
Yeah.
were that, what is it, what would we save to take those away?
That's, okay, that's how that's why I'm
it's
reading it,
shown
thank
as a
you.
deduct.
Yep, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it's flip-flop, because we were saying at the end of the day, if bids were high, what could we potentially
What could we-
slip out? So we're not gonna take that, we're gonna include the learning.
Okay, all right, perfect, thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that bid is accepted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
See
Matt.
you Next month for the abatement.
All right, thank you, thanks.
All right. Next up, we have CFO Matt Norrid, budget adjustment.
Good evening. I have before you an item for recommendation for approval for budget adjustment number 1. This is a little bit earlier budget adjustment than what we typically bring before you. Historically, we have cut and held checks at our year end. What the majority of this budget adjustment is are those checks that we would have held last year, that we would have cut, that we're asking for purchase orders and the associated budget to be brought forward into the year so we can complete payment on these. We can provide a detail of what those items are. We have responded back to any kind of inquiry that was associated. For instance, we had a truck that we ordered last year in September. We received that last month. So this is one of those items that we are asking for the approval. Also included are some grants that we had recently pursued and were successful in. We were awarded $500 as part of the feminine hygiene grant. We received our budget adjustment, our final funding number for the Title I grant. And then we also received recently a safety and security grant, which we're utilizing to supplement our construction on the 120 project. Are there any questions associated with budget adjustment number 1?
So when you say,
We'll do a motion first.
Sorry.
and-
Sorry, I move that we approve budget adjustment number 1.
Second.
Discussion.
so when you say so the safety and security grant, are we up and running in every single school with our security, or is everything running 100%? Or do we need any additional money to make sure that all the other schools are up to security?
No, they're running well.
So if anybody walks in, they can put their ID in, it's being scanned, everything's working, we've got everything working.
Yeah, we were having occasional glitches with the Raptor system at the high school, but then we've hardwired that system in since that recently was happening.
I was just
so-
asking, just because I want to make sure, we're piloting them, like, we started with those 2 systems, I just want to make sure that everything is working great, that none of it needs to be used because there was any kind of glitches or things we weren't thinking of or whatever before it all goes over to.
Now it's going well.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for Matt? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, that adjustment is approved.
Thank you.
All right, and then you had a couple P-card.
So we're making a recommendation to authorize issuance of 2 P cards. These are P cards that were in the same dollar amount and issued to the same positions that we have recently hired for. So these aren't any kind of increases in dollar amounts. These are solely, we had canceled the cards that were associated with the previous positions, and we're asking for these cards to be issued to those employees.
I move that we approve the issuance of the P cards to the cardholders outlined.
Second.
Discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those are approved.
Thanks, ma'am.
Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am.
Appreciate it.
And that ends my report.
Okay, that moves us into Board of Education update. Thank you we have an MSBA refresher training, so if you are not up on your refresher trainings, you likely received an email yesterday or today with instructions on how to register for that and complete it. And I think those need to be done as soon as possible.
It runs April to April, so if you want to do it for for 2023, you need to get it done before April 2024. And then it starts over again.
And when you have completed it, you can send the certificate to Kate, so she's got documentation as well. MSBA delegate report, conference report, do you have anything key delegate related?
Well, I talked about the advocacy position changes that were being proposed and they all passed easily. None of this was very controversial, I don't think. You were there, I think, weren't you?
I was. I voted for Brentwood. I represented Brentwood, yes.
I've been getting the job of being the timekeeper to ring a bell if somebody's making speeches that are too long, but nobody's long enough, so I didn't get to ring the bell. Very disappointing. And, but anyway, so that, the conference was, as usual, it was good. Next year, it's gonna be moved, these things are set up, I think they got a 3-year deal with doing it down at the Crown Center area in Kansas City. Next year, like 2 years after that. So, you know, you again can consider going. That's all I got.
Yeah, and I would say too, the conference was great. I picked up some pointers that I've shared with Andrew for our HR department and some collaborative opportunities. U-City's got a really interesting project with their PTOs, but they put them all together in one organization now for the whole community, for community involvement and making it equitable, how resources are spread across the district, which was a nice way to do that. They're always welcome to come, or interested to come speak with us if we would like more information, and some good outreach that other districts are doing that maybe we can pilot here as well. So it was great. Great. Board committee updates. Any updates?
We
There's a
had,
curriculum meeting scheduled
December 6th.
December 6th. Okay.
we had a finance and facilities, we have another one coming up. I mean, this sounds like we have another agenda item for that, we'd add that. Well, you don't need to be sorry. Why are you sorry?
We'll add it to the agenda. That's good.
That's why we have them. Otherwise, we have to stare at each other. That's all.
Okay. Then we have, or anything for communications? No? I will say the open house, the high school open house, a couple weeks ago was outstanding. Tony, thanks for your work on that, and folks on that committee as well, and the high school staff, it was great. Missouri Ethics Commission annual filers, key dates. Kate has all of these up here for us. Anything you want to add on that?
No, if you have any questions, let me know.
All right, and then we do have lots of meetings at the end of this year and beginning of next year that Kate's organized here for us. So I thought we'll just quickly run through these. We've got the strategic planning steering committee meetings. So there'll be 3 meetings that the steering committee attends. The first one is Friday, December 1st. It's all day, 9 o'clock here. There's the St. Louis School Board PLC, which is outstanding. This is the one that's in person. People can make that on a Saturday, December 2nd. So this is you, Ryan, the governance for Special School District. December 4th, like I said, guys, this is going to be a busy month. The school board candidate filing opens December 5th, and we have moved our potential policy meeting that would have been on December 5th to December 6th at 5:30, and that's the same evening that we'll be holding a board candidate informational event for anyone who's interested in learning more about being a school board member. We'll have representatives here and an opportunity to hear a little bit more about being a school board member.
So on the 6th, that's the business board meeting, and you guys are starting at 5:30. The curriculum meeting is from 6 to 7 that night. Normally, it would be at 7. So are you guys even going to be able to do your curriculum meeting that night?
I need to reschedule.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, that's why we're talking through the calendar tonight.
It may be that there's some policies, MSB is coming out with something, I just don't know when yet. There may be policies for the state.
Okay. All right. The second strategic plan committee is December 15th. The winter holiday open house, awesome, Monday, December 18th. Would you like people to RSVP for that, Kate? Is that?
Yes, please, and either, I think Tony already put together a RSVP sheet, but if not, just let me know and I can put your names down.
Okay. Board business meeting the 19th of December, and then we are going to be moving into January. The board policy meeting is January 2nd if we have policies, and then we did move the board business meeting from January 16th to January 9th. So we'll have back-to-back meetings, again, if we have a policy meeting.
So the 16th is moved to the 9th, and we don't know yet about the 2nd. Right now, we will have a policy meeting on the 2nd.
It's on the, on the calendar at this point.
Do we have something, okay, never mind. So then the 16th, keep
On
going.
the 16th, right, we've got a meeting about the superintendent search, and we have that starting at 4 PM. Okay? You guys ready?
Let's do it.
All right, if I could get a.
I move that we adjourn and move into closed session for the reasons stated in the agenda.
Second.
If we could have roll call, please, Kate?
Jamie Allen?
Yes.
Brian Dodson?
Yes.
Brian Flynn? Keith
Yes.
Ravenberg?
Yes.
Keith Slesser?
Yes.
Jeremy Spencer?
Yes.
Gary Trosser?
Yes. So we have nothing on the 9th?
All right, thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thanks
No, I
all.
don't have nothing. That's Saturday.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
January
January.